Hi gems, welcome back to my channel. It's me. So today we will be discussing the art of mastering emotional detachment or emotional blunting. This is an art that is so crucial for all highly sensitive people who are empathetic in nature and they feel like they just feel everything and everyone's problems. Being emotionally detached is something that is really going to help you, especially when you're a woman and you're looking to be more feminine. Self-preservation is key when it comes to femininity, and the best way to preserve yourself and to prevent yourself from burnout and from just becoming almost like apathetic because of so many years of extreme empathy, it can actually swing you to the opposite direction where you're apathetic and you have no emotions because you've just been overusing the free flow of emotions within you. So, I used to be extremely sensitive, always have been since I was a little girl. So let's get into the video. Again, we are going to be discussing mastering the art of emotional detachment or emotional blunting, specifically for highly sensitive people or empathetic people. Okay, so the first tip when it comes to mastering emotional detachment is to limit your empathetic output, right? So I want you to think of empathy as a currency. Think of your emotions and empathy as currency, like literal capital. Okay, so I want you to imagine that you only have a certain amount of empathy or emotions to spend each day or on a weekly basis or even annually. Like, that's how you should really be approaching your emotional output. You should act as if you have a limited source, because you do. You absolutely do. Make sure, because we're thinking of empathy and our emotions as capital, if you're going to use your capital to invest, just make sure it's worth your while, or you're investing in things that actually matter and that will be, what is the word? It will be worth investing in. Something valuable like children, a small group of friends, people that actually care about you, people who have proven themselves to be worthy of your empathy, but children especially. I have always talked about this on my channel. Giving your children a limitless amount of empathy and love and adoration is so critical to their self-concept. So yes, okay, sans the children, we know we're going to give them all of our empathy and we're going to love them limitlessly, but everyone else, you should really cherry pick who you give that amount of privilege to, right? So limit your empathic output and think of your empathy as currency, and just make sure you are investing in things that are valuable. Okay, so the next step is to respond rather than react. And there's a difference between responding and reacting to, say, condescending comments, something rude that was said, or someone overstepping your boundaries. You can either respond or react to that. So when you react to a trigger or a boundary being crossed, you lose control. You react emotionally and explosively. It's like you're no longer in your power. Keep in mind that he who angers you controls you. Now, when you respond to something, you remain in your power. You acknowledge the trigger and verbalize your intolerance for it, or your intolerance of it to the person who triggered you, of course. So you should really take time to respond, right? Responses take time. So if someone triggers you, take a cleansing breath. And your response, however you'd like to approach it, should really derive from a place of control, self-containment, self-respect, stoicism. Like you want to make sure you are operating out of a place of logic rather than emotion. So, or you can respond with something witty or lighthearted. It's just important to develop the skill where you are responding to things instead of reacting, because reacting is just so like, it's so dangerous. It is so dangerous, and it's almost like you become a liability to your own self, and that's a no-no. So the second step of emotional detachment is to practice responding rather than reacting to triggers, right? And it's a practice. It takes time, it takes years, but nonetheless, it's something to try to attain. And now the third way is to make your anger expensive. Make your anger expensive, your tears, your sadness, your care. These are all valid emotions, but you just want to make sure you're not lending them to everyone and to every situation where it's not even necessary or appropriate. And when it comes to economy and all of that, or economics, when it comes to when it comes to economics, you know, like when you want to increase the value of something, you decrease the supply. So decrease the supply of your anger, your reactions, your emotions, your empathy, and all of that, and your tears, especially ladies. Oh my God, your tears are so precious. Not everyone deserves them. So decrease the supply, so that when you do have an emotional reaction or when you do shed a tear, people know like this is really serious, like she's crying. Versus if you're crying every couple of days, people are going to get tired of it, and that kind of invalidates your emotions. Number 4, such a germane part of self-development. It has to do with emotional intelligence. This is a way to practice emotional detachment, because you will not be at the whim of your own emotions. Like you are in control of your emotions rather than your emotions controlling you. And I mean, this is another like timeless skill to have. It's a lifelong process getting to the place where you are emotionally intelligent, but doing so will save you a lot of embarrassment and lost opportunities. There's like so much to be said about emotional intelligence. So if you would like for me to do an entire video on the subject matter, then just comment below and I'll try to work that into my scheduling. Don't take anything personally. So the same way that you're so wrapped up in your own universe, your own perception, your own childhood traumas, your own insecurities, the same is true for others. Everyone is, to a certain degree, enslaved by their perception, their mind, and some to a higher degree than others. So what you should really take from that is the way that people react to you has a lot more to do with them and their own perception than it has to do with you as a person. So as you're navigating this life, just try not to take anything too personally, because most of it is not about you and you're just not that important. And the 6th way to become more emotionally detached is to start viewing others, and this is very important, start viewing others as fully capable. Everyone is capable, right? Everyone is capable to help themselves. Everyone is capable to improve. Everyone is capable to strive, to fail, and to figure it out on their own. So you don't have to be everyone's saving grace, because the same way that you have to be responsible for your own outcomes, the same is true for others, and they are fully capable of accomplishing whatever it is that they need to accomplish and figuring it out. So the seventh step is to create distance from people who are causing you pain. We talk about boundaries a lot on this channel, and creating space is a form of a boundary. So there are some people in our lives that we come across that never have anything positive to say. They're constantly criticizing you, and sometimes you feel like, am I going crazy, or does this person like literally never have anything nice to say? I do want to mention that as human beings, we tend to focus on the negative more. So out of all of the interactions we have with people, our family, our friends, our associates, people that we work with, naturally, as human beings, we just tend to focus on the negative. It's just how we are built. That's how we've evolved as human beings. So it's really critical to spend time and meditate on this and really try to figure out if these people have any positive comments or compliments. And if you realize that they literally have never given you a compliment, or if they do give you a compliment, it's very slight or it's like condescending, or if they're just constantly feeding you a conveyor belt of insults and slight digs, then it's time to just take it for what it is and create distance. Creating distance from people who are dangerous to you, to your well-being, is a practice that you need to develop and really master in order to become better at emotionally detaching when necessary. Those types of people you have to create rigid boundaries with. The truth of the matter is they probably don't like you very much, or they're probably just envious. Either way, it doesn't really matter what the reason is. They don't need to occupy your space, so create distance. The next step is to just choose not to care, right? Like, make it a habit. Make it a habit not to care. The same way that we choose to lend our empathy and just be so emotional about other people and what they have going on, it's the same way that you can make a conscious choice not to care and to redact your empathy where it's necessary. So just choose not to care. So the ninth way to become more emotionally detached is to identify your emotions as separate from your core self, right? So for example, I'll just give you a visual. If I was to surgically, right, just like open my chest and take out all of my vital organs, I would have my heart, my lungs, my gallbladder, my liver, and whatever else is in there. Right? If I'm pulling out these organs and separating them and organizing them, I wouldn't really pick my heart up or take my heart and say, I am my heart. You'd refer to them as yours, as a sense of belonging, like this heart belongs to me, that's mine, right? And you wouldn't say, I am my heart, this is me. Furthermore, the energy that contains them belongs to you. They are not you. Another example is if you're breathing, you're not going to say, I am my breath. You're going to say, this is my breath, I am breathing, right? Like it's separate from you, even though it comes from you, or even though it's flowing through you, it is not you. It's a part of you. It's something that is derived from you, but it's not me, right? It's crucial really to identify your emotions the same way as something that is from you, something that can occupy your space, something that can fill you up, but doesn't mean that it is you at your core self. It's really pertinent to understand that there is a keen difference between what you call yours and what you call yourself, right? So emotions come and go, but they don't have to be you. They are not you, quite literally, So you may be angry. It doesn't mean that you are an angry person, and you don't have to embody anger. You don't have to be that. You just recognize the emotion as it rises within you and you identify it for what it is, you control it because you are in control of it because you own it, you know. So that's something really important that you should kind of meditate on even later. The 10th step to becoming more emotionally detached is to realize that nothing belongs to you and you actually require very little. Number 11, divest from the expectations and the experiences of other people and invest in your own, right? So a lot of empaths, we're like super invested, just like overly invested in other people and what they have going on, and we're just concerned, we're so worried, we're so concerned about everyone. It's really a beautiful thing when you start to give that care and that concern and that empathy empathy to yourself, right? So it's okay to invest in things, right? It's okay to be invested, but are you as invested in your own outcomes? If the answer is no, then just start investing in yourself and you will feel 1,000 times better. The 12th step is to, oh, and this is so, like, I hate to end this on like such a sad note, but so the 12th the 12th step to becoming more emotionally detached is to realize how quickly people would forget about you if you were to expire, right? Like, so if you were deceased and you were no longer a part of this realm, you have to understand that there's like a really small circle of people who would actually mourn you long term. And even those people will get distracted by their own lives and they will forget that you ever existed. Isn't that like kind of sad? We all have this lived experience of being ourselves. We have our thoughts, our opinions. We're so invested in how we move in this life. But if our lives are taken away from us, you know, what do we become after that? We're a memory. Okay. And then, you know, like I've seen this happen a bunch of times. Like people pass away and everyone comes to their funeral and everyone's crying and just remembering how amazing that person was or how much of an impact they had. And after a while, people forget about this person. You may reappear in their thoughts a few times. You have to realize that the people who are going to miss you the most are really your children and maybe your parents if you've passed away before them, if you have a good relationship. But it's really your kids, you know, like those are the people who are going to feel the depth of your absence. And even they will forget about you after a while. Like they'll be so wrapped up in their own lives, their own children, that it's just like once you realize how insignificant you are, it allows you and it almost gives you permission to be detached because this life is so fragile and your whole experience is just crazy to me that your whole experience can just be minimized to now you're a memory in someone's head, and then once they're gone you don't even really exist anymore, you know. It's just so, yeah. And I had something else to say about this as well. Yes, so this is why I say that you should really only give your small circle your empathy, because those are the people who will mourn you when you're gone. Because anyone outside of your children, your close family, your close friends, they're not going to feel it if you go, right? If you're no longer here. So those are the people you should lend your love and your empathy and your care and your concern. That connects to why it's so important to master the art of emotional detachment so that you can make sure that while you're here, you are spending your empathy on the right people, the people who actually love you and care about you. Who, I mean, those people are far and few between. So just be mindful of that as you're trying to be more emotionally detached. I'm just so glad you made it to this part of the video, and I hope you took notes. And yeah, so that really concludes my list of ways to become more emotionally detached or more emotionally blunted as an empath or a highly sensitive person. So I hope you enjoyed and I hope you learned something today. I will see you in the next video. Bye.